The silent scream, the signal that changed everything. The transmission cut through subspace like a blade through flesh, raw and desperate. Across 17 star systems, communication officers jolted upright as their equipment screamed warnings. The message was simple, terrifying, and impossible to ignore. This is Quilren Prime. We are under attack. Civilian casualties in the millions. Our defenses have failed. Please, anyone who receives this, we need help. They are burning our cities. Our children are dying. Please. Then silence. A species too gentle for war. The Quilren had joined the Galactic Coalition 60 standard cycles ago. They brought with them art, music, and philosophy that enriched every species they encountered. Their homeworld was a paradise of crystal forests and singing waterfalls. They had no standing military because they had never needed one. Their neighbors were peaceful, and the Coalition promised protection. That promise meant nothing when the Krethax Empire arrived. Ambassador Tella of the Coalition stood before the emergency assembly, her forearms trembling. She had visited Quilren Prime twice. She had friends there, colleagues who had shared meals and stories. Now she watched orbital footage of those same cities burning. The Krethax have deployed their full 7th Fleet, she reported, her voice cracking. 200 warships. They are systematically destroying population centers. Current casualty estimates exceed 40 million and rising. The assembly chamber erupted in horrified gasps and angry chittering. Representative Vorn, a massive insectoid from the warrior caste of Zereth, slammed his clawed appendage on his station. We must respond immediately. Deploy the Coalition Defense Force. But High Chancellor Morin raised one webbed hand for silence. His species had led the Coalition for 300 years through careful diplomacy and measured responses. The situation requires careful consideration. The Krethax Empire has not formally declared war. This may be a territorial dispute. We must follow protocol. Send diplomatic envoys first, then they are dying right now. Vorn roared, and we will help them through proper channels. I am calling for a full council vote in 72 hours. Until then, we observe and gather intelligence. Ambassador Tella closed her eyes. 72 hours. 3 days. By then, the Quilren might be extinct. The humans hear the call 12,000 light-years away. In a system the Coalition barely acknowledged, the distress signal reached Earth's deep space monitoring network. Lieutenant Jackson Chen stared at his screen in the Antarctic listening station, his coffee forgotten. Ma'am, you need to see this. Station Commander Vasquez crossed the room in 3 strides. Elena Vasquez had served 20 years in Earth's military before transferring to space operations. She read the translation twice, then reached for the emergency channel. Get me Fleet Command, Priority Alpha. Within 6 hours, the message sat on the desk of Admiral Marcus Okonkwo, Supreme Commander of the Terran Expeditionary Force. He was a broad-shouldered man whose family had survived the African water wars. He knew what happened when good people did. Nothing. What's the Coalition's response? He asked his intelligence officer. They've called for a vote in 3 days, sir. Diplomatic channels first. Okonkwo's jaw tightened. 3 days. How many more will die in 3 days? Projections estimate another 70 to 90 million, sir. The Krethax are efficient. The Admiral stood and walked to the massive window overlooking Earth Fleet Command. Below, 37 warships floated in formation, humanity's entire deep space combat capability. Untested, unproven, built with technology the Coalition had dismissed as primitive. Assemble the fleet. Combat readiness in 12 hours. His second-in-command, Captain Sarah Wu, stepped forward. Sir, we don't have Coalition authorization. If we intervene without approval, then we'll face the consequences after we save lives. Get me a direct channel to every ship captain. I want to speak to them personally. The choice to stand alone 12 hours later, 37 human warships hung in space above Earth. On each bridge, crews listened as Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared on their screens. You all know why we're here. A peaceful species is being exterminated while the galaxy debates procedure. We have no official sanction for what I'm about to order. We have no backup. We have no guarantee the Coalition won't condemn us for this action. He paused, meeting the eyes of each captain through their cameras. But we have something else. We have the ability to help, and the will to act. Our ancestors faced extinction more times than we can count. Ice ages, plagues, wars, asteroids. We survived because when the moment came, someone stood up. Today we stand up for those who cannot. On the bridge of the dreadnought Indomitable, Captain Chen Li felt her crew shift around her. Her weapons officer, her pilot, her tactical team, all volunteers. All knew what this meant. "We're with you, Admiral," she said into her comm. Across the fleet, 36 other captains echoed her words. "Then let's go save some lives. Expeditionary Force, jump on my mark." Space tore open as 37 ships vanished into faster-than-light transit, into the fire. The journey took 48 hours. During that time, the crew of the Indomitable prepared for war. Chen walked through her ship, visiting every station. In the armory, Marines checked their powered combat suits. In engineering, technicians ran final diagnostics on the experimental shielding systems Earth had developed. In medical, doctors prepared for casualties. "Captain?" Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Ramos, called out. "We're receiving updated intelligence from our scout drones. The Krethaks have orbital supremacy. They've destroyed every Quilren defense platform. Ground resistance has collapsed in most sectors." Chen studied the tactical display. 200 Krethaks warships. Her fleet had 37. The numbers were brutal. Any sign of coalition response? Negative. They're still in session. Estimated decision in 16 hours. 16 hours too late. All ships, this is Admiral Okonkwo. We drop out of FTL in 5 minutes. Battle stations. Remember your training. Protect each other. Make every shot count. Chen took her seat. Combat stations. All hands, prepare for battle. First contact, the human fleet emerged at the edge of the Quilren system like sharks entering bloody water. Immediately, sensors lit up with contacts. Krethak ships swarmed around Quilren Prime like locusts. On the planet's surface, cities burned. "Get me a tactical picture," Chen ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with." Her tactical team worked frantically. The Krethak's vessels were larger than human ships, covered in spike-like weapon emplacements. They moved in loose formations, arrogant in their supremacy. "Admiral, they're hailing us," the communications officer reported. On screen, a Krethak's commander appeared. His species resembled bipedal reptiles, covered in dark scales and cybernetic enhancements. His eyes were cold and calculating. "Unknown vessels. You have entered a Krethak's military operation zone. Depart immediately or be destroyed." Okonkwo's expression never changed. "This is Admiral Marcus Okonkwo of the Terran Expeditionary Force. You're engaged in genocide against a galactic coalition member species. Cease your assault and withdraw, or we will remove you by force." The Krethak's commander laughed, a harsh, scraping sound. "You? 37 primitive vessels against the Krethak's 7th Fleet? You are either brave or suicidal. We have crushed species far more advanced than you. You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawal. We will add your ships to our victory count, humans. All batteries target the lead vessels. Show these primitives what real power looks like." The channel cut. Chen watched as 200 Krethak ships began to turn their weapons toward the human fleet. "Admiral?" she asked quietly. "All ships, weapons free. Show them what Earth builds. Attack." The battle begins. The first Krethak salvo was massive. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled space, converging on the human formation. On the Indomitable's bridge, alarms screamed warnings. "Brace for impact," Ramos shouted. The weapons hit like hammers, but the human ships didn't explode, didn't fragment, didn't die. Earth's engineers had studied every battle record they could acquire. They knew coalition shields were elegant but power-hungry, so they built something different. Layered armor, ceramic composites, ablative plating, redundant systems. Human ships were built to take punishment and keep fighting. The Indomitable shuddered. Hull temperature spiked, but it held. "Return fire," Chen ordered, her voice calm. "All batteries." Human weapons spoke with a voice the galaxy had never heard. Railguns launched solid projectiles at relativistic speeds. Missiles streaked across the void with AI guidance systems. Laser batteries carved through space with surgical precision. The first Krethak ship to die never expected it. A railgun slug punched through its forward armor, traveled the length of the vessel, and exited through the engine compartment. The ship split in half, its reactor going critical. "Target destroyed," Ramos reported, shock in his voice. "Clean kill. Next target," Chen said. "Keep firing." The human fleet pressed forward, not away. They closed the distance where their armor gave them advantage and their weapons could hurt the enemy. The Krethak's formation, designed for long-range superiority, suddenly found human ships in their midst. On the Krethak's flagship, Commander Vrelk watched in disbelief as another of his ships exploded. Then another. These humans fought like nothing he had encountered. No elegant maneuvering. No defensive positioning. They simply charged forward and hammered his ships with brutal efficiency. All ships focus fire. Destroy them! But the humans were already moving, already adapting. They worked in pairs, one ship drawing fire while the other struck from an unexpected angle. They used the debris from destroyed vessels as cover. They targeted weapon systems first, crippling ships before finishing them. Chen watched her tactical display with fierce pride. Her crew, her fleet was outnumbered 5-1, but they were winning. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface," her communications officer said. "It's the Quilren. They can see the battle," Chen nodded. "Put it through." A weak voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken coalition standard. Are you help, please? There are children here. Families hiding in shelters. The bombardment. This is Captain Chen Li of Earth. We're here to help. Hold on, we're coming." She looked at her crew. Every face showed the same determination. Tactical, plot a course through that Krethax formation. Engineering, give me every ounce of power you can. All weapons prepare for sustained combat. The indomitable dove deeper into the battle. 36 other human ships following like a spear aimed at the heart of the enemy. On Quilren Prime, millions watched the skies and dared to hope. The price of mercy blood in the void. The battle had raged for 3 hours when Captain Chen Li realized they were winning. Not easily, not cleanly, but winning nonetheless. The Krethax 7th Fleet, which had terrorized the sector for decades, was breaking apart under human assault. On her tactical display, the count shifted constantly. 73 Krethax ships destroyed, 42 crippled and drifting, the remainder scattered across 3 orbital zones. No longer operating as a cohesive force, but victory came at a price. "Captain, we've lost the destroyer Relentless," Lieutenant Ramos reported, his voice tight. "The cruiser Vigilant has suffered catastrophic damage to her port side. She's venting atmosphere." Chen felt each loss like a physical blow. 300 souls on Relentless, gone in an instant when a Krethax dreadnought had focused all weapons on the smaller vessel. The destroyer had held long enough for 2 other human ships to destroy the enemy, but the cost was paid in full. Get rescue teams to Vigilant. Transfer survivors to other ships. Already underway, Captain. Across the fleet, Admiral Okonkwo coordinated the assault with brutal efficiency. His tactical mind, honed in Earth's conflicts, adapted to space warfare with frightening ease. He didn't fight fair. He fought to win. All ships focus fire on their command vessels, cut off their coordination, force them to operate independently. The human fleet obeyed. Railgun rounds and missiles concentrated on the largest Krethax ships. One by one, the enemy command structure collapsed. The boarding actions on the marine assault ship Warrior's Edge. Sergeant Major James Rodriguez prepared his team for something the galaxy hadn't seen in centuries. Boarding actions. While modern warfare typically involved ship-to-ship combat at vast distances, humans had other ideas. "Listen up," Rodriguez shouted to the 80 Marines crammed into the deployment bay. "Intel shows the Krethax have captured 3 Quilren orbital stations. They're using them as forward bases and holding survivors as hostages. Our job is to take those stations back." He pulled up holographic displays of their targets. Station Alpha is the priority. Long-range scans show approximately 200 Krethax soldiers and possibly 5,000 Quilren civilians. We go in hard, we go in fast, and we remember our rules of engagement. Civilians are not targets. We're here to save lives, not take them. Private First Class Maya Santos checked her powered armor's seals for the 4th time. This was her first real combat deployment. She had trained for 3 years on Earth and Mars, running simulations until she could clear hostile vessels in her sleep. But this was different. This was real. "Rodriguez," called out Corporal Chen, no relation to the captain. "What if the hostages are being used as shields?" The sergeant major's expression hardened. "Then we get creative. Remember, our armor can take hits that would kill a Krethax soldier. Use that advantage. Draw fire away from civilians. Protect them with your bodies if you have to. That's what this armor is for." The assault pods launched with violent acceleration. 12 armored capsules shot across the void toward Station Alpha, each carrying a Marine fire team. Point defense systems tried to intercept them, but human pods were small, fast, and covered in ablative plating designed to survive exactly this scenario. Santos felt her stomach drop as the pod spun and weaved through weapons fire. Around her, 7 other Marines sat silent, focused, preparing for the violence to come. Impact. The pod smashed into the station's hull and immediately began cutting. Molecular disassemblers ate through the station's outer skin in seconds. Explosive bolts blew the entry hatch inward, and Rodriguez was first through, his rifle up. "Move, move, move!" Santos followed, her armor's sensors painting the environment in 360-degree awareness. The corridor beyond was wide and curved, designed for Quilren civilians. Now it was filled with Crethax soldiers rushing to respond to the breach. "Contact front," Rodriguez called, opening fire. The human weapons were designed for powered armor operators. The recoil would shatter an unaugmented human shoulder. But in the armor, Santos barely felt it as she squeezed the trigger. The rifle roared, sending armor-piercing rounds downrange at hypersonic velocity. The first Crethax soldier took 3 rounds to the chest and went down. The second tried to duck behind a support pillar, but Santos's targeting system tracked him perfectly. Her rounds punched through the pillar and found their target. "Advancing," Corporal Chen called, moving forward with 2 other Marines. They worked in pairs, covering each other with practiced precision. The Crethax fought back with plasma weapons and explosive charges. Santos felt impacts against her armor, saw her damage indicators spike yellow, but kept moving. The armor held. It always held. They pushed deeper into the station, clearing corridors and compartments. Then they found the first group of Quilren civilians. 43 beings huddled in what had been a cargo bay. They were thin, bruised, terrified. When the armored humans burst through the door, many screamed. "Friendly," Rodriguez called out, his armor's external speakers translating to Coalition standard. "We're here to help. We're human. We're here to help." A Quilren female, her crystalline skin cracked and bleeding, stared at the massive armored figures. "Human? From Earth?" "Yes, ma'am." "Can you walk? We need to get you to safety." "The Crethax. They have more prisoners." "Deeper in the station, children." Rodriguez's jaw tightened. "Chen, take 4 Marines and escort these civilians to the extraction point." "Santos, you're with me. We're going deeper." The horror revealed. What they found in the station's lower levels would haunt Santos for the rest of her life. The Crethax hadn't just been using the station as a military base. They had been conducting experiments, medical bays filled with Quilren subjects, research notes detailing biological vulnerabilities, equipment designed to extract genetic material. The Crethax had been systematically studying how to most efficiently exterminate the Quilren species. Rodriguez stood in the center of one laboratory, his armored fists clenched. Around him, his Marines maintained discipline, but Santos could hear the rage in their breathing over the squad channel. "Document everything," Rodriguez ordered quietly. "Every piece of equipment, every note, every victim. The galaxy needs to see this." They found 37 more civilians, barely alive. The Marines carried them out with a gentleness that belied their massive armor. Santos cradled a Quilren child who couldn't have been more than 5 years old in human terms. The child's crystalline skin had been cut in dozens of places, samples taken without anesthesia. "It's okay," Santos whispered, her voice cracking. "You're safe now. I've got you." The child looked up at her armored faceplate with eyes too old for such a young face. "Are you going to hurt the bad ones?" Santos thought about lying, about saying something gentle and diplomatic. Instead, she told the truth. "Yes, we're going to make sure they never hurt anyone again." The Emperor's gambit on the Crethax flagship Dominator, Emperor Vrelk watched his fleet disintegrate with growing panic. These humans were supposed to be primitive, weak. They had only joined the galactic community a few decades ago. They should have been easy prey. Instead, they were winning. "My Emperor," his tactical officer reported, "we have lost 70% of the fleet. The humans have captured 3 of our forward bases. They are broadcasting evidence of our research facilities across all Coalition channels." Vrelk's scaled face twisted in fury. The research was supposed to remain secret. It was the key to Crethax expansion. Identify biological weaknesses in target species, then exploit them. But now the humans had the proof. "Recall all ships to my position," he ordered. "We will make a final stand. My Emperor, perhaps retreat. I will not run from primitives," Vrelk roared. "And I have one final card to play." He activated the planet-wide comm system they had set up on Quilren Prime. "Humans, this is Emperor Vrelk of the Crethax. You have fought well, but you have already lost. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Chen heard the transmission and felt her blood run cold. We have weapons positioned in orbit above the 3 largest Quilren cities, Vrelk continued. Biological weapons specifically designed to target Quilren genetic markers. If you do not withdraw immediately, I will activate them. 20 million will die in hours. Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared on Chen's screen. His expression was carved from stone. Can we take out those weapons? He asked his fleet. Negative, sir, came the response from multiple tactical officers. They're shielded and positioned in low orbit. We would need to be much closer, and any movement toward them might trigger early deployment. Vrelk's voice continued. You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawal, humans. After that, I start killing cities. Chen looked at her crew. They had fought so hard, lost so many. The Quilren civilians they had rescued were being transferred to human medical ships. Victory had been within reach. Admiral, she said quietly, we can't let him do this. I know. Okonkwo's eyes were distant, calculating. Then they sharpened with decision. All ships, new targets. Prepare for simultaneous strike on all biological weapon platforms. Sir, we can't get there in time. Not with ships. Lieutenant Ramos, how many marine assault pods do we have left? Ramos checked his display. 43, sir. Load them with our best pilots. No Marines, just pilots. Program them for kamikaze runs on those weapon platforms. Volunteers only. The comm channels lit up instantly. Volunteer. Here, sir. Ready to go. Put me in, Admiral. Chen felt tears prick her eyes. 43 pilots volunteering to die to save people they had never met. Admiral, this is Commander Sarah Wu from the Defiant. I'm the senior pilot in the fleet. I'll lead the strike. Commander, with respect, sir, this is what we signed up for, to protect those who can't protect themselves. No matter the cost, Okonkwo was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Go with honor, Commander. All of you. Humanity will remember. The final stand 43 assault pods launched simultaneously from the human fleet. They accelerated at speeds that would kill any occupant not in powered armor, racing toward the biological weapon platforms scattered in Quilren Prime's orbit. On the Krethax flagship, Vrelk watched them come. They're insane. They're actually sacrificing themselves. Activate the weapons. Now, but the pods were too fast, too small, too determined. They wove through defensive fire with piloting that defied physics. One by one, they reached their targets. Commander Wu's voice came through one final time. For Earth, for the Quilren. For every species that ever needed someone to stand up for them. The pods struck. The biological weapons exploded in orbit. Their deadly payloads consumed in nuclear fire before they could reach the surface. 43 human pilots died in the same instant. Their sacrifice measured in millions of lives saved. On Quilren Prime, 20 million civilians watched the explosions in the sky and wept. The remaining Krethax fleet broke. Without their hostages, without their Emperor's leverage, they fled into FTL space. Human ships pursued, but Admiral Okonkwo called them back. Let them go. Let them spread the word about what happens when you threaten the innocent. The aftermath, 3 days later, the Galactic Coalition fleet arrived at Quilren Prime. They found the Krethax gone, the Quilren saved, and 34 battered human warships in orbit. High Chancellor Morin's face appeared on Admiral Okonkwo's screen. For a long moment, neither spoke. You violated Coalition protocols, Morin finally said. You acted without authorization. You engaged in warfare without a formal declaration. You sacrificed 43 of your own people. Okonkwo looked directly at the Chancellor. And we saved a species from extinction while you debated procedure. I'll accept whatever consequences the Coalition imposes, but I won't apologize for doing the right thing. Morin's expression was unreadable. The Coalition is conflicted about your actions. Some species are calling you saviors. Others fear what humanity represents. But all of them now know one thing. Humans do not hesitate when lives are at stake. Is that a problem? That depends. What are your intentions now? Okonkwo looked out at his battered fleet. At the Quilren world recovering below. At the memorial markers floating in space where his people had died. Our intentions are the same as they've always been, Chancellor. To protect those who need protection. To stand up when others cannot. And to show the galaxy that sometimes the only answer to evil is force applied with absolute conviction. On Quilren Prime, Elder Celis stood before a crowd of millions. Behind him, a monument was being constructed. 43 crystal pillars, each one representing a human pilot who had sacrificed everything Today, we dedicate this memorial to our saviors, Celis said, his voice carrying across the gathering. Humanity came when no one else would. They bled for us. They died for us. And they asked for nothing in return. Let this monument stand for 1,000 generations as a reminder. When the galaxy fell silent, humanity roared. The crowd erupted in a sound that had no translation. Grief and gratitude mixed with something new. Hope. Captain Chen Li stood among her crew, watching the ceremony through a live feed. They had lost friends. They had seen horrors. They had learned that war was uglier than any simulation could prepare them for. But they had also learned something else. Captain, Lieutenant Ramos said quietly, was it worth it? Chen thought about the Quilren child she had helped rescue from the station, the one who had asked if they would hurt the bad ones. She thought about Commander Wu and 42 other pilots who had flown into death without hesitation. Ask me that again when you see those children grow up free, she said. Ask me when the Quilren rebuild their world without fear. Ask me when the next species cries for help and remembers that someone answered. She turned to her crew. We did what humans do. We stood up. That's always worth it. Above them, the stars shone cold and distant. But now the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had arrived, and they brought with them something the civilized species had forgotten in their millennia of peace. They brought the willingness to pay any price, bear any burden, and fight any battle to protect those who could not protect themselves. The age of humanity had begun,